Being a people of refuge. That's the title of today's Daily Dose. You know, it's not too hard to see as you just look around that people are hurting and they're in desperate need of a refuge. And as children of God, we know that the Lord is our refuge. But what are we doing to share our place of refuge with the rest of the world? You know, before I dive deeper into being a people of refuge, I want to address the immigration issue in our country. And I'm just going to say it. Our immigration system and our practices in the United States for the past 50 years are one of those agendas from hell. You might go, why? Why would you call it that? Because these policies and practices, they're tearing apart families. They're mistreating people. They're putting children at risk. And they're opening the door for all kinds of evil and pain in our nation. And here's why I call it an agenda. Because it can be fixed. But those in power are unwilling. They don't have the political will or the moral fiber to actually lay down their own agendas and just do what's right. Look, I've talked to many government officials who've told me that the border can be secure, which it needs to be. And immigrants can be treated fairly and equitably at the same time. We don't have to choose one or the other. We have the means to do both, to expedite legal and beneficial immigration while preventing illegal and harmful immigration. However, political elites, they're just simply unwilling because immigration is too powerful of a tool for them gaining and maintaining power, for getting votes and for raising campaign funds, and that's evil. Our political system is using our safety and using vulnerable immigrants as pawns for their own agendas. But God calls us to be like Him and to be people of refuge. You see, God is a refuge for those who put their trust in Him. Here's what it means to be a refuge. Refuge is defined as protection or shelter from danger or hardships. It's a source of help. It's a place of relief or comfort in times of trouble. It's a place of safety, of healing, and of redemption. And our God is certainly all of these and so much more. He's there to protect us from the dangers of life and shelter us in each of the storms that we go through. And as God's children, now we're called to be like Him, to be like Christ, and to show characteristics of God to a hurting and dying world. Therefore, we must be people of refuge. And the church must be a place of refuge for those in our community who are hurting and are in need of shelter. Yes, physical shelter, but even more importantly, spiritual shelter that's found in Jesus. I love how our church has been a place for both for so many years. As we house, we feed the homeless, as we feed our community, the gospel of Jesus, both. So what does it mean to be a people of refuge? Well, being a person of refuge starts with simply loving others. Christ tells us that our love for one another will prove to the world that we are His disciples. That's found in the Gospel of John chapter 13, verse 35. See, people matter most to God, and they must matter most to us. And if people really matter, then we must treat them with compassion, with kindness, with humility, with gentleness and patience, as we're told in Colossians 3:12. You see, people of refuge display God's grace through generous gestures and acts of kindness. But people of refuge also generously forgive one another, just as they've been forgiven by God Himself. Offenses, accusations, bitterness, that critical spirit are definitely not characteristics of refuge. Finally, people of refuge let the light of Christ shine brightly in and through their lives. You see, Jesus instructs us. He says, let our light so shine before men that they may see our good works and glorify our Father in heaven. That's Matthew 5:16. By letting the light of Christ shine, we are directing people to the true place of ultimate refuge, the Almighty, the living, and the loving God. Are you a person of refuge? Are you a safe place for the needy and the hurting? I want to encourage you, ask God to fill you with His grace to become a person of refuge. Look for opportunities this week. Look around. Look and see who you can love this week. Show compassion to, offer generous gestures to, forgive. Let the light of Christ shine brightly through you this week. Be Christ to this hurting world, and remember to share the gospel of Jesus.